Okay, so today I'm going to do 2017 question number 1. This question involves identifying and processing digits of a non-negative integer. So positive integer. The declaration of the digits class is shown below. You will write the constructor and a method for the digits class. So the digits class is a list of digits from the number used to construct the object. The digits appear in the list in the same order in which they appear in the original number. So what we're going to do is we're just going to basically break a number down into its individual components and store each digit in an array list in the order that it is given to you. So you're going to write a constructor and you're going to write is strictly increasing. Notice that there's a piece of instance data, a reference to an array list of integers. And inside of this method, or inside of the constructor, you need to instantiate the array list and populate it, and then we'll work on number B as well. So this is showing you of how the digits class works. So here's the constructor, which you're doing in part A. So this is the format. Digits D1 is a new digits, and then you put a number in here. Then digit list, which is your array list, should, like I said, break this down into individual components and put each digit from its prospective place value in order in the array list. If you just create a digit object of 0, this is what you get. So part A is just the constructor. So like I was telling you, we're going to have first of all, we're going to do a special case if the number is 0. And like I said, we have to instantiate digit list. So we have to say digit list equals a new array list of integers. Remember, integer objects. We can only store objects in an array list. So the first thing we're going to do is check to see if that number is 0. If the number is equal to 0, then we're just going to say digit list add, and we're going to have to add what? A new integer for the integer value of 0. So that's a good reminder of what the format for that is. So now, if that's not the case, so the question is, how do we take a number like 157? I remember how an array list works. We actually need to put this number in first, and as we add things to the array list, I'm sorry, I'm wrong about that. We need to add 1 in first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 157 and we're going to divide by 10. So what do we get when we divide 157 by 10? So 10 goes into 15 one time, and then 10 goes into 57 5 times, right? So we get 50, and then we get a remainder of 7. So 7 is going to go in, 7's going to be added to the array list. Oh yeah, I remember how I did this now. That was right, what I said. We're going to put in 7 first. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you. So we're going to put 7 in. All right. And then you'll see that we're going to use a very specific array list command to make sure that whatever remainder we get is going to be always added to position 0. So we're going to say while num is greater than 0, because we've already taken care of the special case of num equal to 0. We're going to add to digit list, and we're going to add always at position 0 some new integer that we find by taking num remainder number 10. Because it's the remainder that we're actually going to add to position 0. And then, though, we need to take the value of num and say num equals num divided by 10. Since we've already processed 7, all we have now is 15. So we're going to take, the next time through this while loop, we're going to take 10 into 15. 10 goes into 15 one time with a remainder of 5. So the next time through, 15 is greater than 0, and I need to add to position 0 num remainder 10, which is 5. So the second time we look at the array list, we're going to put 5 at position 0, and 7 is going to go to 1. So all we have left now for num is we're going to take num divided by 10, and that's going to be 0. So we're going to say 10 goes into 0. I'm sorry, goes into 1. 10 goes into 1 0 times. So this is 0 with a remainder of 1. So what we're adding to digit list then would be the 1 at position 0. So that array list is going to look like 0, 1, and 2. I'm sorry. It's not going to look like 0, 1, and 2. Making a lot of mistakes. It's going to look like 1, 5, and 7. Sorry about that. Let me see how much time I have left. Okay, I got time to do part B. Okay, so part B wants you to check if the digits in the array list are strictly increasing. Let me flip back over to my camera so you can see. So basically, here's a couple of examples where you are checking to see if the numbers are strictly increasing. The first two, as we move from left to right, are true. But then as we start, if they're equal, that earns you a false. And if you see they're not strictly increasing, that also earns you a false. So all we need to do here is loop through digit list. We need to get consecutive values, and we'll return either a true or false. So here is our method header, and I'm going to go ahead and make a Boolean variable, ANS for answer, and I'm going to set it equal to false. Okay. You don't really need to do this. You could just return true and false, but I'm going to do it this time. Okay. So by default, we're going to, the answer is going to be false. And we will return ANS. Okay, I'll wait for that later. So we're going to start checking consecutive values. We're going to say int I equals 0. And we're going to say as long as I is less than digit list.size, because remember, size is the method we use to figure out how many items are in the digit list. But we're going to have to stop one less than the maximum so we don't get an array list out of bounds exception. So now we're going to check consecutive elements in the array list. So we're going to say digit list. We're going to use I as the reference. So we have to say get I dot int value, because remember this is an integer object. If that is greater than, and this is all on one line, but I'm going to have to bleed over. Digit list, get, so we want the consecutive digits, so we're going to say I plus 1. Then we have to say int value again, so we're comparing int values to int values. So we're basically checking here to see if what's stored at, like, let's say position 0 and 1. Like, what if this is a 7 and this is a 5? So this would be true. So if that's the case, we want to set ANS equal to, we just want to return ANS because by default it's false. So we can just say return ANS. Because they're not strictly increasing. So if they're not strictly increasing, so if we don't return false, we need to set ANS equal to true.